Menstrual cycle. This refers to the reproductive cycle, which occurs in female human being and some primates, such as monk and chimpanzee. Actually, the cycle begins at the onset of sexual maturity throughout the fertile period and when the woman is not pregnant. The cycle is also characterized by the breaking down of the uterus wall and the shedding of blood through the vaginal canal during the menstrual flow. There are two purposes of menstrual cycle. The first one is to develop an egg cell in the ovary, and the second one is to prepare the uterus for implantation and the feeding of zygote. To fulfill those purposes, two main changes must be done effectively. The first change occurs in the ovary, called the ovarian cycle, and the second change occurs in the uterus, called the uterine cycle. So, let us start with the ovarian cycle. This cycle involves three phases. The first phase is follicular phase, the second is ovulation phase, and the last one is luteal phase. In follicular phase, this phase is influenced by the two hormones which are secreted by the anterior pituitary gland. And those hormones are follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. The function of follicle-stimulating hormone in follicular phase is to stimulate the growth and the development of ovarian follicles, whereas the function of luteinizing hormone is to induce the secretion of estrogen hormone by the follicular cells, as well as to stimulate the continued growth and development of the ovarian follicles into the mature Graafian follicles. The secretion of estrogen hormone in this phase inhibits the release of follicle-stimulating hormone, and therefore its level decreases in the blood. However, this doesn't have any effect on the level of luteinizing hormone. Ovulation phase. Under the influence of luteinizing hormone, the mature Graafian follicle bursts to release secondary oocyte, and the process of releasing secondary oocyte is called the ovulation. Luteal phase. In the presence of luteotrophic and luteinizing hormone, the cells of the ruptured follicle change into yellow body called the corpus luteum. The corpus luteum is an endocrine in nature, and therefore it secretes large quantities of progesterone hormone and a small amount of estrogen hormone. The function of estrogen and the progesterone hormone is to maintain the structure of the mucous membrane called the endometrium, and to inhibit the release of follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone from the anterior pituitary gland. If pregnancy occurs after mating, the structure of the corpus luteum is maintained for the first 3 months, called the first trimester of a pregnancy, after which its function is taken over by the placenta. And this explains why the surgical removal of ovary during the first 3 months of a pregnancy will lead to a miscarriage. If pregnancy is not successful, the corpus luteum disintegrates to form a scar called the corpus albicans. The regression of the corpus luteum leads to the fall in the level of estrogen and the progesterone hormone in the blood, hence allowing the secretion of the luteinizing hormone and the follicle-stimulating hormone as they are no longer inhibited. Uterine cycle. The cycle has 3 phases. The first one is menstruation phase, the second one is the proliferative phase, and the last one is the secretory phase. Menstruation phase. During this phase, the female sex hormones called the estrogen and the progesterone hormones are at lower levels in the blood, therefore causing the disintegration of the endometrium and the rupturing of the blood vessels. The flow of blood, mucus, and degenerating endometrium through the vagina during menstruation period is called the menstrual flow, and it normally takes about 3 to 5 days. Proliferative phase. This phase occurs between day 6 to 13, and it is during this time where the estrogen from the mature Graafian follicle initiated the formation of new layer of endometrium in the uterus, as well as to stimulate the cribs in the cervix to produce a fertile cervical mucus so as to prepare the uterus for ovulation, which occurs in the 14th day of the normal cycle. Secretory phase. This phase occurs during 15th to 28th days, and it is characterized by an increased production of progesterone by corpus luteum that plays a vital role in preparing the endometrium for implantation of blastocysts and stimulating the secretion of mucus from peritubular glands, as well as increasing the blood flow into the uterine wall and reduce the contraction capacity of the smooth muscles in the uterus.